Oh, sorry. Hey, everybody. I keep forgetting the GoPros have like a 390,000 degree lens, so I should just put myself in these videos, but I'm John. I'm the Dusty DM. Channel's been up for a couple of months, and I wanted to say thanks to Huckpot for really getting me to get off my ass and do something again. Pardon the language or not, that's up to you. So today, I have a whole list of things that I want to do with everybody, and today we're going to cover something at least slightly important to me, which is airbrushing, sort of. So I am no expert in airbrushing. I'm not even worried about that at the moment. I'm worried more about effective paint plans and how to cut down some time when you're painting minis. I've gotten into routine when it comes to painting, where if I'm gonna sit down, I'm gonna sit down with the box set of dwarves that I just got from Citadel, or what, I don't even know what they are now. Fire Slayers. But I want to sit down, and even if I'm painting with brush, I want to be able to plan effective use of paint and effective use of time, so that I'm not just painting a single mini, getting it done, moving on. I don't want to have to keep repeating the process. I'm very into finding effective time methods. I don't know, time usage. So I usually have 5 or 6 minis on the table when I'm painting. I have, I don't know, probably about 40 or 50 minis primed at the moment. I just like to paint. I really do like to paint. So please take nothing by that. I really just love painting minis lately, and I've been on an obsessive tear all summer long, and buying because why not, honestly. The new the last WizKids drop was amazing. It was full of new great stuff for people who are getting back into the hobby or getting into it for the first time, and so that was a big boon for me. So what I'm prattling on today about is effective paint planning with minis. And for me, or for this video, I'm going to assume that you're base coating with an airbrush. Whether you are or not, this translates well to both methods. So with my airbrush, I have picked out all of my Myconids. We've got actual Myconids from the deep cuts. I love them. I have another set of them painted already that I painted by hand. They were the first minis that got me back into painting. I love them. They're just silly. They're fun, happy Myconids. But we also have the Bones Mushroom Folk, whatever they copyright infringe call them. Silly joke. But either way. So these are all Mushroom Folk. This one's real happy. This one's a little goofy. She's an elegant lady. And these guys look grumpy as could be. The WizKids Myconids, no matter how rainbow fluorescent you paint them, they still look gloomy. And that's okay. So for my base coat, I'm gonna go with Regal Purple on all of these. That's part of this plan, is figuring out what I want to do with it and how I'm gonna use paint coloring effectively. So these guys are base black. These are all prime black. I know anybody who wants to give me a hard time about priming minis that say on the package don't prime, I can't see gray. I'm colorblind in 3 different forms. if I don't prime things, I can't pick out detail. So I always prime my plastic minis, no matter what brand they are. I prime metal minis, I prime everything because honestly, it's worth the extra bit. It's worth that extra little bit because I'm not going to matte coat them when I'm done. I'm not going to hit them with a varnish or anything because I know that they're primed, they're stuck to the plastic. It's not just going to rub off by accident. So picking a paint plan, we're going to start with Regal Purple, and I'm going to lay it down heavy on the bottom of these guys and the bottom of these, and then lighten it up as it comes up, and that's going to be the first layer. And after that, we're going to move on. When I do paint stuff on this channel from here out, I'm going to try to work with individual bottles of color shades when I'm talking about paint planning, just because I know that it's more effective for me than watching somebody wet blend in a palette and trying to figure out what they're doing so that I can translate it myself. So we're going to go from Regal Purple to a Void Blue. And what I'm going to do with the Void Blue is I'm going to lay it on heavy on the top of the mini so that it's brighter than the dark purple. And then on the bottom, I'm going to feather it down so that the eye is going to be drawn to the top of the mini. That's all I'm going to focus on with these guys is faces. The Reaper Myconids, they have almost cartoonish style faces, and I want to try a little bit of an experiment with them. So either case, the top half of these minis is where I want the viewer's eye to be. So that's what we're going to do. And that's going to be the second layer that I spray on them. And I would do the same with a brush. Absolutely, just as easily thin it out. Just throw it on a palette, thin it out with some water, whatever. And I would do it the same way so that the face is what's being drawn out. And then the last of them, the last that I'm going to do, that's a good question. I don't want them to be all blue. I really don't. That's kind of not fun. It is fun, but it's not too particular. The last thing that I'm going to do actually is going to be Explosion Orange. And that's going to be for everybody's outer cap. And that's actually where I'll switch back to brush. But the effectivity that I'm after is not having to dig out 9 or 10. I don't have to go through this process 9 or 10 times. I can just fill my pot, spray it out, do all 5 of them. By the time I'm getting to the 5th one, they're tacky, they're ready to go. I'm starting with the next layer, and then I can finish it out, and then I can clean out my airbrush, put it down, and go pick up my paintbrush and finish it all that way. And I'm gonna do all the top caps and all the silly little hats. They're wearing silly, happy little hats. All that stuff. I'm gonna, after I have the blue on, I'm going to dry brush the orange onto them to really draw it out. And then I might highlight it again with Vampiric Highlight or like an off-white, just to really, really bring it out. And then with the Reaper ones, we're gonna go around. I'm gonna try to line some eyes, maybe line some features with pure black, just in an sort of animated style. That doesn't matter, we'll come back to it later on. But the entire point of everything is considering what you're doing before you get into it. If you want to sit down with a mask, I paint for tabletop. There has yet to be a miniature on my shelves on the curio behind me that has gotten, I lie, Taraxel, the large metal dragon, he's done. No, I'm in the way. He's done for now. I took my time with him. He's also a large dragon, so it really wasn't that big a deal. And he was really fun to paint, and he was a life goal. I almost want to say life goal of mine to finally paint that mini. And so I did give him my effort, and I'm really happy with it. And I'm going to use him as an example in a later video. But the point is that you don't have to talk yourself out of going wild every now and then. This is your hobby. This is exactly what you want to do. Last time I sold off my vintage books, and I took all that money up to Adventurers Guild, and I bought two of the Citadel Start Collecting boxes because they're the most effective way to buy Citadel minis that translate well into D&D. And I bought all but four of the entire line of Turbo Dork Metallics. They are not a sponsor. They have no idea who I am. You probably have no idea who Turbo Dork is. Airbrush or hand painted. Stop buying anybody else's metallics. These are amazing, and their color shift, lovely. Thin them out, one coat, two coats, you're done. That's it. And anyway, I'll link them below. But they're not a sponsor. I do swear by them, though. They are phenomenal. I know people love the Vallejo. Sorry, Squigmorum. I love the way you pronounce it, and I love the way that you narrate things, so I'm always going to listen to your channel. But anyway, I know Vallejo does a true silver and a true metallics line. Even that's not... I would go to Turbo... I would try Turbo Dork before you try that, because that stuff's really thick, too. It's crazy thick. It's like pouring beautiful epoxy nail polish onto a sword. And it does an amazing job. I'm not diminishing the product at all, but I would say try Turbo Dork first. Good stuff. But anyway, you don't have to talk yourself out of buying 10 of something that you like. I have two WizKids cannons up there. Why? Set dressing. Set dressing for a photo shoot later. Who knows? But I'm not going to talk myself out of it because it's something I love to do. And it's not an unachievable goal to sit down, throw those dwarves together that I bought, and paint them all in a weekend to tabletop standard, not to extreme precision. You don't ever want to go you don't ever want to fight a project in this hobby. If you have to fight a project, then you're working. You're not enjoying your hobby. That's up to you, but either way, that's how I get 5 to 10 to 15 minis painted a weekend. Because it takes me a sum total of 8 hours, 4 hours one day, 4 hours the next, and it's all done. And it's all through planning what I'm gonna do and trying to get minis that are similar, grabbing minis off the shelf that have wings. If I know that they're all, bad example, but the Warcry starter set, they had the demon thingies. They look like giant turkeys that are also satanic. And they have wings. And I have two eagles up there. I've got owlbears. I can pull all of them out and start basing. I can pull all of them out and base everything in at least one color so that I'm using consistently one color and firing through it. And the minis that I'm not going with in that paint direction, set them aside for then, finish out the ones that I'm doing that are all following a similar color scheme, cutting down waste, cutting down excess of sitting here cleaning out your airbrush every damn time just to put a new color down. It's a time waste. The biggest thing is thinking forward, thinking ahead, and sitting down and looking at what you have and working it out from there. You got a bunch of town guards and they're all wearing cloaks. You know they're all going to be similar. You're going to sit down and think about what you're going for with them. Are you going for a yellowed tan, like a canvasy tan scheme? Good. Sit down, figure out your base, your middle highlight, and your very highlight, and do them all in a row. Set them aside, come back, then work on the coats because they're all going to end up being the same anyway. And you've saved some time and you've gotten some stuff done. You're going to feel great about yourself. There'll be a follow-up of these guys painted, and there's going to be a ton of other videos coming. So Again, my sincerest thanks to Huckpot for commenting the other day. It really did kickstart me back in a good, positive, creative direction. So thanks much. Welcome back to the hobby after 30 years, by the way. Yeah, what's it like to buy a red spine instead of a white box? All right, guys. See ya.